I'm Detective James, and this is the cases the news forgot.
My name is Thomas Hale. I'm 56 years old now, a detective nearing the end of my career. What I'm about to tell you happened when I was young, before the badge, before the lines on my face. Back then, when I was in my 30s, I didn't know this story would shape the man I became. I only knew that something inside me finally broke. 3 weeks before everything changed, my parents stood up at their 40th wedding anniversary dinner. 30 relatives crowded into the room, glasses raised, smiles everywhere. My younger brother laughed, my cousins cheered, and my father announced, loud and proud, that the whole family would be flying to Hawaii the following week for another celebration. Applause filled the room. I smiled too, already imagining warm air and the sound of the ocean. It would have been my first real vacation in years. Then, I asked one simple question. What time is our flight? My father stared at me like I'd said something inappropriate. My mother's smile tightened just slightly. And right there, in front of everyone, my father said, "You don't need to know that, Tom. You're not coming. Someone has to stay behind and look after the kids." 30 people heard it. 30 people watched me realize, in real time, that I was useful, not included. Family when it was convenient, labor when it wasn't. But what they didn't know was that I'd been carrying a secret for 3 years. Something quiet, something I'd built alone. And that night, standing there with my glass still raised, I decided it was time to stop pretending, to understand why I walked away from everything I knew. You need to understand the family I came from. The Hales lived in a spotless colonial house outside Boston. 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, lawn trimmed like a magazine cover, the kind of place meant to signal success without saying a word. My father, Richard Hale, had retired from middle management at a regional bank. My mother, Eleanor, had never worked a paid job, but she treated maintaining our image like a full-time profession. Church committees, charity events, neighborhood dinners, appearances mattered more than feelings. Then there was my younger brother, Andrew, 2 years younger, married to a woman my mother adored, 2 kids, new SUV that always went straight into the driveway. My car, a dented sedan I'd owned since college, stayed on the street. "Move your car, Tom," my mother would say. "Guests notice what's in the driveway." I always moved it. That's how it works when you're the invisible one. You don't question the small humiliations. You accept them as normal. You stop noticing how your brother is introduced by his job and his success while you're just Tom. He helps out. He's flexible. I worked freelance then. Odd jobs, contract work. Nothing impressive by Hale standards. What they didn't know was what I did at night, what I'd started after my life collapsed in a way no one bothered to notice. Let me explain what helping out meant in my family. Holidays meant I arrived early and left last. I cooked, cleaned, set tables, wrapped gifts, watched kids while everyone else relaxed. Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays. Every event followed the same script. I was background noise, reliable, replaceable. One year, my brother's kid had a themed birthday party. I spent the entire day running games and cleaning up while everyone else socialized. When I once asked if I could skip a family dinner because of a deadline, my mother's voice went cold. "Family comes first, Thomas. We all make sacrifices." Except it was always me. The truth hit me one evening while scrubbing dishes alone in my parents' kitchen. I realized I couldn't remember the last time anyone invited me anywhere without expecting something in return. 3 years before that moment, my personal life had fallen apart. I'd been with a woman for years. We talked about the future. Then one night she told me, "You're just there. You're always just there." That sentence stayed with me. After she left, I wandered into a pawn shop. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I just needed something to hold on to. That's where I saw it. A used camera? Nothing fancy, but solid. I bought it with money I couldn't afford to spend. That camera became my refuge. I started photographing people no one noticed. Night workers, elderly men on park benches, faces worn down by life. I understood them. I knew what it felt like to exist without being seen. I never told my family. I hid the camera in my closet, wrapped in an old sweater. Over time, I shared the photos anonymously online. No name, no face, just the work. People responded. Slowly, quietly, it grew. 3 weeks before that anniversary dinner, I got an email from a gallery in California. I stared at it for 20 minutes before I believed it was real. They wanted to talk about my work. I didn't reply right away. People like me weren't supposed to get offers like that. There was only one person in my family who ever really saw me, my Aunt Clara. My mother called her the family embarrassment. She never married, never chased status. She followed her passion instead, moved west, opened a small studio by the ocean. My mother never forgave her for choosing happiness over approval. I've been calling Aunt Clara every week for years. She was the first person I ever showed my photographs to. Her response still echoes in my mind. "Thomas, this matters. You matter." She was the one who told the gallery about me. The night of my parents' anniversary party, I stood in that crowded room knowing two things. They didn't see me, and I was finally ready to stop waiting for them to. That was the night everything changed. I remember that evening clearly, even now, decades later. By 6 o'clock, the house looked flawless, too flawless. Candles burned on every flat surface. The dining table stretched halfway into the living room, set for 30 people with my mother's best china, the kind she only brought out to impress strangers. I had changed into a simple black dress. Nothing flashy. Nothing that would ever pull attention toward me. "Daniel." My mother's voice stopped me in the hallway. She looked me up and down, her lips tightening. "Is that what you're wearing?" "It's black," I said. I thought it was appropriate. "It's fine," she replied, already losing interest. "Just stay in the background. Tonight is about your father and me." I nodded. I always nodded back then. Guests started arriving at 7. Men in pressed jackets, women in polished dresses, old co-workers, church friends, neighbors with perfect lawns and rehearsed smiles. 30 people who thought they knew our family. Not one of them knew me, and in a few hours, none of it would matter anymore. My sister arrived right on schedule, 15 minutes late, just enough to make an entrance. She swept through the door in a bright red dress, proudly announcing the designer name to anyone who listened. Her husband followed in an expensive suit, their 2 children dressed like they'd stepped out of a catalog. My mother rushed toward them, showering them with praise. How beautiful, how successful, how lucky she was. "Everyone," my mother announced loudly. "You remember my daughter and her husband. He just made partner at his firm last year. We're so proud." Applause filled the room. Smiles, compliments. No one mentioned that I'd been quietly handling his finances for years without pay. I moved through the crowd with trays of food, refilling glasses, answering questions from guests who didn't recognize me. "Are you with the caterers?" one woman asked, reaching for an appetizer. Before I could answer, my mother appeared. "Oh, that's Daniel, my other child. He's just helping tonight." The woman smiled politely and turned away. My mother didn't notice. She never did. Later, my brother-in-law approached me, holding one child while the other clung to his leg. "Can you take them?" he said. Not a question. No thank you, just an expectation. I took them. I always did. I fed them in the kitchen, cleaned spills, told stories to keep them quiet. When I finally stepped back into the living room, dessert was already being served. I hadn't eaten all day. No one had saved me anything. At 9 o'clock, my father stood and tapped his glass. The room went silent. 30 faces turned toward him, smiling. "Thank you all for being here," he said, his voice smooth and practiced. 40 years of marriage. 40 years of building this family." My mother glowed beside him. My sister squeezed her husband's hand. "To celebrate," my father continued, "we have a surprise. Next week, we're taking the whole family to Hawaii. 1 week in Maui. A second celebration, just us." The room filled with admiration, laughter, excitement. For a moment, something lifted in my chest. The whole family. I stepped forward, letting myself believe. "That sounds incredible," I said. "What time is our flight?" The silence that followed was sharp. My father looked at my mother. A look passed between them. One I'd seen my whole life, but never understood until then. "Daniel," he said slowly, "you don't need to know the flight time." I frowned. "I don't understand." "Because you're not going." 30 people watched him say it. 30 witnesses to the moment I was excluded without apology. "Someone needs to stay behind." My mother added calmly, "Your sister and her husband deserve a real vacation. That means you'll watch the children." I tried to speak. My mother cut me off. "You don't have anything important going on. She works hard. She deserves this." Her husband nodded. "It's just a week. The kids love you." I stood there, holding a dirty plate while people looked away. One woman whispered to her husband. I caught the words. "Poor thing. She must be used to it by now." I set the plate down carefully. I smiled, the same practiced smile I'd worn my whole life. "Of course," I said. "I understand." But something inside me cracked, not shattered, just shifted. I went into the kitchen and leaned against the counter, breathing slowly. For the first time, I began forming a different kind of plan. The party went on without me. I washed dishes while laughter drifted through the house. My sister came in later, telling me not to be upset, explaining how stressed she was, how much she needed this break. She handed me a list on her phone, schedules, allergies, instructions. She didn't ask if I was willing, she assumed. When she left, I stood alone in that kitchen and finally understood the truth. I wasn't family to them. I was unpaid labor, and labor can quit. It was nearly midnight when I opened my mother's laptop to send a delayed file. Her email was still open. I saw my name in a subject line. I knew I shouldn't look. I did anyway. They'd planned it, weeks in advance. Keep him here. Free help. He should be grateful. I sent the proof to myself, closed the computer, sat in the dark. That night, I went home and stared at my phone, at an email from a gallery owner I'd never had the courage to meet. I called the only person who ever truly saw me. My uncle answered. Even at that hour, I told him everything. "You can leave," he said simply. "You can choose yourself." By morning, I was packing. 2 days later, I went back to tell them I was leaving. My mother barely looked up. My sister protested. My father finally listened. "I won't be available," I said, I'm going to California. You planned around me without asking me, I added quietly. And for the first time in my life, I didn't back down. I remember the exact moment I said the words out loud, because even now, at 56, they still echo in my head. I'm not canceling my life just because you assumed I didn't have one. The room went silent. Not an awkward silence, a heavy one, the kind that presses against your ears. Then my mother stood up, slow and deliberate, her voice sharp and cold, like January air cutting through your coat. That's incredibly selfish, Daniel. Your sister needs your help. Family comes first. Family comes first, I repeated, surprised at how steady my voice sounded, except when it comes to inviting me to Hawaii. Her mouth opened, then it closed. For the first time in my life, she had nothing ready to say. My father cleared his throat and finally spoke, staring past me instead of at me. If you leave, don't expect us to welcome you back with open arms. I understand, I said, and for the first time, I meant it. The next 24 hours were a lesson in emotional warfare. My phone lit up constantly, 6 voicemails from my mother, each one more dramatic than the last. You're tearing this family apart. Your father is devastated. He barely touched his dinner. Your sister cried all evening. The kids keep asking where Uncle Daniel is going. My sister tried a different tactic. Soft voice. Hurt tone. I don't understand why you're doing this to me. I'm your sister. Don't you care about us at all? And then the message that almost pulled me back. You're going to end up alone, just like Uncle Sam. Is that what you want? I stared at that text for a long time. Just like Uncle Sam. They said it like a curse, like a warning, like a failure waiting at the end of the road. But Uncle Sam had his own workshop, his own art, his own quiet life built on his terms. He was calm, he was fulfilled, he was free. Maybe ending up like him wasn't a threat. Maybe it was a promise. I turned my phone off. The last thing I did before leaving Boston was walk through my empty apartment. 3 suitcases by the door. Everything else stayed behind. The old couch, the beige carpet, the version of my life that existed only to support other people. I taped my spare key to an envelope and slid it under my landlord's door. Month-to-month lease. Paid through the end of January. Clean break. As the sun came up, I loaded my car. A 10-year-old sedan my mother had always been embarrassed by. Reliable. Quiet. Honest. It carried everything that mattered. I didn't look back when I pulled away. The drive across the country takes about 45 hours if you rush. I didn't. I took 5 days. Cheap motels. Diners where nobody knew my name. Somewhere in Nebraska, I pulled into a rest stop and watched the sunset stretch gold and pink across the open land. I took a photo, my first one as a free man. On the 3rd day, I turned my phone on to check directions. A message from my sister was waiting. Mom says if you're not home when we get back from Hawaii, you're dead to her. I read it once, then deleted it. They'd already treated me like I was invisible. At least now I was alive somewhere else. On the 4th day, I called Uncle Sam from a gas station in Arizona. I'm about 8 hours out, I said. Your room's ready, he replied. Fresh sheets, ocean view, and the gallery owner wants to meet you tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow? That's fast? No, Daniel. His voice was warm, certain. You've waited years for this. It's not fast. It's finally. When I crossed into California, something inside me shifted. The Pacific opened up on my left, endless and blue. I rolled the window down and breathed salt air for the first time in my life. I cried then, not from sadness, from relief, from possibility. At 7 that evening, I pulled into the driveway of his cafe and studio. He stood on the porch, arms open. "Welcome home," he said. And for the first time in decades, it felt true. The town didn't feel real at first. Storybook cottages, art galleries on every corner, fog drifting through cypress trees like something out of a painting. The cafe sat 2 blocks from the beach, hand-painted sign, blue shutters, lavender spilling from window boxes. The studio was in the back, where he taught classes and sold his work. My room was upstairs, small, bright, a desk by the window, the ocean stretching beyond it. "You'll work mornings," he said over dinner, 6 to noon. "After that, your time is yours." I didn't know how to thank him. "Don't," he said. "Just build something." The next morning, I tied on a plain canvas apron, not the one they'd given me, just a clean one. I learned to make coffee. I wiped tables. I spoke to strangers who had no idea I'd walked away from my old life less than a week earlier. By noon, I'd made $37 in tips. I smiled more than I had in months. At 2 o'clock, I walked to the gallery. The man who greeted me wasn't intimidating. He was calm, weathered, kind eyes. He shook my hand and told me he'd seen my work. "You see people," he said. "That's rare." He offered me a solo exhibition. I signed the contract with my hands shaking, not because of the terms, but because my name was printed there, official, recognized. While I built something new, my family discovered what my absence meant. Hawaii wasn't the dream they expected. No babysitter, no organizer, no problem solver. Messages started coming, questions, complaints. I didn't answer. 6 weeks later, I stood in the center of the gallery, my photographs on the walls, people I didn't know standing in front of them, talking, feeling something. My uncle pressed a glass into my hand. "How do you feel?" he asked. I looked around and realized something important. For the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible, and years later, when I became a detective, when I learned how to notice the things others overlook, I realized this was where it started, the day I finally chose myself. I remember standing there that night, my hands shaking, even though I pretended they weren't. Fear has a way of sitting quietly in your chest, even during moments that are supposed to be victories. I admitted it out loud back then. I was scared. What if no one bought anything? What if all of this was just me pretending to be someone I wasn't? "Someone already has," Clara whispered beside me. She tilted her head toward a woman wearing pearls, calm and confident, studying the main photograph of the exhibition. It was the image taken at a bus stop, the one that had first caught the gallery owner's attention weeks earlier. A small red dot now sat next to its label. "That's Eleanor Whitby," Clara said softly. "She owns a frightening amount of art along the coast. She just bought that piece. $3,000. $3,000. For something I had made with my own hands, my own eyes, my own time." Before I could even process that number, the gallery manager came over smiling, like he'd been waiting his whole career for this night. He said he wanted to introduce me to a writer from a magazine. They were thinking about featuring me, maybe even putting me on the cover. A magazine cover. My name, my face, my story. And then the door opened and everything inside me shifted. My sister and her husband walked in, still glowing from a tropical vacation, skin bronzed, clothes completely wrong for the room. She wore a bright dress meant for sunlight and sand, not white walls and framed silence. He was already looking at his phone, annoyed by something, like the world had inconvenienced him by existing. existing. They scanned the room with the same expression I'd grown up seeing my whole life. Confusion mixed with judgment. The look people get when they walk into something they don't understand and don't intend to try. Then, my sister saw me. She hurried over, arms open, voice loud enough to turn heads. "Oh my God, we've been so worried about you." Every conversation stopped just a fraction of a second too long. The music hesitated. I felt 50 sets of eyes on my back. I kept my voice even. I told her this was unexpected. She said they had to come, that our mother had found my social media and started calling everyone. Her husband nodded at me like we were meeting at a conference, not crashing the most important night of my life. He complimented the place. I told him it was my exhibition, my opening night. My sister blinked, finally noticing the photographs, the people, the price tags. "You did all this?" she asked, honestly baffled. "Since when do you do this?" "Since years ago," I told her. "You never asked." My aunt appeared beside me then, quiet but solid. The kind of presence that makes you stand straighter without realizing it. Across the room, the gallery manager watched carefully, ready to step in if things went bad. My sister leaned closer and lowered her voice. She told me she was pregnant again. Third child. She said she needed me to come home, that her husband was busy, that our mother wasn't helping, that she needed me. There it was. Not pride, not congratulations, just need. The same word I'd been carrying since I was a teenager. I told her I was in the middle of my opening night. She waved her hand like my life was a small inconvenience. "We can talk later," she said. "I just need to know when you're coming back." "She's not," my aunt said calmly. "She lives here now." Her husband bristled and said this was family business. My aunt laughed, sharp and honest, and reminded him exactly how they talked about me when they thought I wouldn't see it. The room grew very quiet. I noticed the journalist writing faster. Then the woman who'd bought my photographs spoke up. She asked why a family would expect someone to abandon a career to become unpaid help. The temperature dropped instantly. My sister begged me to talk privately. "Let me pause here for a moment because this matters. When the people who ignored you show up only to pull you backward, what do you owe them?" That night, I didn't step away. For decades, I'd shrunk myself, softened my voice, disappeared when needed. Not that night. I stepped forward into the center of the room and spoke clearly. I congratulated my sister on her pregnancy, and then I told her I wasn't coming back. I told her she could hire help. That money had never been a problem for her. What she couldn't do was keep using me for free. I told everyone that the photographs on the walls weren't a hobby, that I'd been building this life while my family assumed I had none. I told them that piece on the wall sold for $3,000, that 4 others had sold too, that my work had value, that I had value. No one spoke. Then someone started clapping, then another. The applause spread, not for the art, but for the boundary. I wished my sister well and walked away. 20 minutes later, my parents arrived. My mother wearing authority like a coat, my father looking like he wished he were anywhere else. They accused me of leaving the family, of playing pretend. I corrected them calmly. I asked why I wasn't family when it came to vacations, but suddenly was when it came to sacrifice. They had no answer. When my mother said I had time because I had no husband or children, I pulled out my phone and read their own words back to them. Emails they'd forgotten I could see, calling me free help, saying I had nothing important to do. The room listened. I told them I wasn't reading it to shame them. I was reading it so they'd understand why I left. Staff can quit. That was the first time I ever saw my mother speechless. Someone defended me. Then, another. My parents' social armor cracked in public. Eventually they left. My sister followed, crying, promising to understand. I told her the terms were different now, equal or nothing. After they were gone, the room exhaled. I sold more pieces that night. I earned more money in one evening than I had in months. A collector offered a commission. A magazine offered a feature. Years have passed since then. I'm 56 now. I became a detective later in life. Another way of learning how to see what others miss. That night taught me how to see myself. I still keep the old camera that started everything. It sits next to the one I bought with money I earned honestly, fully. Both matter. One taught me to look. The other proved I was seen. I never went back to being the help. I went back only as myself. And if there's one thing this old man has learned, it's this. Freedom doesn't come from winning arguments. It comes from walking away and building a life so solid it no longer needs permission to exist.